You didn't just click this video out of curiosity. You came here because something in your heart is aching, because life hasn't been making sense lately, because the plans you thought would work out didn't, because the people you trusted either walked away or changed, because you're tired of trying to hold yourself together when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. You came here hoping to hear something, anything, that would remind you that this pain has a purpose, that this storm won't last forever, that maybe, just maybe, God still sees you. And I want to tell you something you might not believe right now, but it's true. God has already written the ending, and it's beautiful. But I know that's hard to believe when you're still sitting in the middle, when the prayers feel unanswered, when nothing you've tried is working, when every step forward somehow leads to another setback. You tell yourself to have faith, but some days, even breathing feels like a battle. You've been asking the same questions over and over. Why me? Why now? Why does it feel like God is silent when I need Him most? Maybe you're waiting for something you thought would have come by now. A breakthrough, a healing, a relationship, an open door. Or maybe you're carrying something no one else can see. The grief of a loss, the weight of disappointment, the quiet struggle that no one checks on. And you've started wondering, if God is still with me, why does it feel like this? I want you to hear this as gently as possible. You are in the middle of the story, and the author is still writing, because the middle is where the wrestle happens, the doubts, the silence, the waiting. But the middle is not the end. It never was. Think about the man named Joseph, not as a Bible story, but as a real person. He was just a teenager when he had a dream, a vision that he'd one day rise to greatness, that he'd be in a position of influence and favor. It felt real. It felt divine. But not long after that, he was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, taken to a foreign land, alone, afraid, and forgotten. Imagine that. Imagine having a vision of your future from God Himself, and then being dragged into a reality that looks nothing like the dream. Imagine crying out in the dark, night after night, asking God why He showed you something He had no intention of giving. At least that's how it must have felt. But what Joseph didn't know in that moment was that the pit wasn't the end. The slavery wasn't the end. The prison cell wasn't the end. God was still writing. The betrayal, it would position him. The prison, it would train him. The silence, it would shape him. Because God's pen doesn't stop when the pages get dark. He keeps writing. And when He writes, He redeems. Years later, Joseph would be elevated to a position of power, not just for himself, but to save the lives of thousands, including the very brothers who betrayed him. He didn't just survive, he was used, because the ending had already been written, and it was never meant to be tragic. It was meant to be glorious, just like yours. But I get it. You're not there yet. Right now, you're sitting in the chapter where everything feels slow, confusing, maybe even pointless. You're praying and getting no reply. You're doing your best and still falling short. You're exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Tired of hoping, tired of believing, tired of being strong. But I need you to hear this. You are not forgotten. You are not being punished. You are not too far behind. You are being prepared. The silence you're hearing, it's not God's absence. It's His process. The waiting, it's not wasted time. It's refining time. The closed doors, they're not rejection, they're redirection. And I know you're asking, how long will it take? The truth is, I don't know. But I do know this. God is not in a rush when He's building something eternal. And He's building something in you. Even when you feel like nothing is happening, even when it feels like you've been on pause for years, God hasn't stepped away. He's just working behind the scenes, aligning moments, shaping character, testing your roots so that when the promise comes, it won't destroy you. It'll strengthen you, because sometimes God protects us by delaying what we're not ready to carry. And sometimes the greatest blessing is not getting what we want right away, but becoming who we need to be before it arrives. So if all you're doing right now is surviving, that's okay. If all you did today was show up, that's enough. If your faith feels small, it's still faith. If your heart feels heavy, God still hears it. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to remember this. The story isn't over, and the ending, it's already written, and it's beautiful.